Yo, what's checking, everybody? We are here for a Wednesday edition of House Divided on the Orange Bloods Live Network. I'm Jeff Ketchum, joined by Chad Hastings, and Kieran makes his long-awaited appearance, return to the show later today, in about 20 minutes, actually. Do us a solid, like, comment, subscribe to the page, jump into that Specs chat, give us your super chats, give Kieran your super chats. The Smack Talk returns to Orange Bloods Live. I'm really excited. We're going to have some fun today as we get through a Wednesday hump day on the show in a bye week. Sometimes Wednesday shows, Chad, can lag a little bit. That won't be the case today. I'm just curious when Kieran joins us in 20 minutes, how far he'll go. And how far is too far when you're the number one team in the country or the number two team in the country? Is it smack talk or is it just talk?
Right. Exactly. Plus, Vegas has set the number, Catch, at 24 and a hook on how many English words I'm going to say after Kieran says his first word. I'm guessing there might not be a lot of space for me, maybe you, but I know me once he starts going. So I'm just going to be hanging on like I'm water skiing. I can't wait to hear, like you, I can't wait to hear just how confident he is. Is it, Texas by a million? By a billion, by 8 billion in every game? Like, how big is he going?
I thought for the title, we could be Texas over OU by 100 or just 50.
Conservative.
Big news today, reported over at orangebloods.com by Anwar Richardson. You probably, if you watched the old fashioned earlier today, listen to his reporting that according to multiple sources, Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers participated in practice on Tuesday, presumably today as well, receiving the first team reps. The quote that stood out from one of the sources, and this isn't a shock or a surprise, but it is one of the things that you wanted to see after hearing Steve Sarkisian talk about Ewers on Monday. Quote, Quinn is playing against Oklahoma. No way he misses this game or the rest of the season. He wants to win the SEC and the Natty, end quote. I read that and thought to myself, I'm starting to hate Natty.
The word?
Yeah.
You don't like Natty for a national championship? It's a little too, what are you, an old man? Don't call it Natty.
That's my thing. I wonder if I'm old and that makes me feel like I'm pretending to be young.
They spray painted Natty on my front porch.
Nobody called it a Natty in 2005.
No, I don't recall that being. The only one I'm a little uncomfortable with, Catch, is if they refer to ships. That one's a little weird for me, but the front end I'm okay with. I'm okay with the Natty. That doesn't bother me.
It's a little too close to cheap beer.
Oh, I see. You're thinking of like Larry Eustache and Natty Light. Is that what you're doing?
I'm just saying that in general.
Okay.
And I didn't used to dislike it, but now it feels like everybody is using it. And it's a little bit like when I would watch my kids do the dab. And you just,
right.
God.
Yeah, see, S. Roan's with me. Hate the word ship. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, as long as you weren't doing the dab with them, I think you're okay. But yeah, that is uncomfortable.
No, but I wonder if we've if we as a community have stolen Natty. Did somebody really cool start Natty, and then 45-year-old housewives started to say it, and now it's not cool anymore? That's my concern.
Yeah, and certainly the cool part for a Texas fan is no matter what you call it, the fact that you can discuss it so openly, so out in the open, no issues, so early into your SEC time. That's big time, and we'll see just how far Kieran wants to go with his prediction. But great news about Quinn. It's what we expected to hear, Catch. It's what Anwar's kind of been hinting towards. But you and I both read Anwar's report last week and thought, okay, Arch is going to go again, right? Arch is going to go one more time because 70% on Thursday just didn't feel quite right. But everyone involved, I'm sure, would tell us if last week had been Georgia, number 3 might have figured it out, right? But they knew based on the schedule, they had this opportunity, an extra week with the bye, and we were all looking at Dallas as what made sense.
There's a certain level of calm about this whole situation that has to have been sadly triggered by the fact that 2 years ago that Texas went into the Texas OU game like this with a quarterback coming off of an injury. They win 49-0. So it feels like, okay, well, no big deal. Quinn Ewers coming off of an injury, didn't need a warm-up game before then. I hate the fact that Quinn has now had injuries every season that has caused him to miss games, that has created a pattern where he's come back kind of flying after being injured. But, this is such a big game, and it doesn't feel like there's any nerves or anxiety at all about Quinn Ewers coming back at this point, which I feel like in a lot of cases, if the starting quarterback gets hurt, I think we're seeing this in College Station right now, right? Starting quarterback gets hurt. Now, look, Connor Weigman not performing anywhere near the level of Quinn Ewers, but you see Marcel Reed come in, play well for a string of games, and now it almost feels like, well, Weigman can't come back and interrupt the mojo, the winning streak, the good vibes. Texas has even better quarterback play than Marcel Reed's been able to provide. They've also had a winning streak, and it says a lot, obviously, completely different situations, but there doesn't seem to be any worry or concern at all that there's any kind of hiccup in the transition back to Ewers.
Catch to the reaction I've seen from fans on the chat, it's exactly the opposite of that. It's not only do they think he'll be back and be good, they think he's going to come back and thrash OU. And maybe it's the 49-0 and what you just laid out as that reason why, but I've seen it over and over again this last week or so. Quinn's going to come back. He's going to thrash OU. 300 last night, today during the recruiting hour show, somebody threw in 300 plus yards passing, 3 touchdowns for Quinn against OU when he comes back. So the feeling is exactly opposite of any worry. It's he'll be back, he'll be ready to roll, and he's going to just torch OU in the Cotton Bowl.
Well, look, Arch has played at such a level that Quinn doesn't return and there's any pressure on his job at all. But I think there is a level, maybe even internally, the pressure is high and it's not just Arch, it is Jalen Milroe, it is this discussion of the Heisman, it is going all the way back to the summer and me asking Quinn Ewers last question of SEC Media Day, does this feel like this is it? And he said yes. And then he was talking about, wouldn't it be cool if all of these things that I could accomplish actually were accomplished in this final year? That's kind of the storybook romantic ride out of town. He wants that. He'll know that this is his last OU game. And that in itself adds an extra layer of pressure. If you've ever talked to any seniors as they go into their last Texas OU game, they do understand the finality of it all. That, hey, whatever your record is, this is the lasting impression of this game. I can't wait till next weekend. There's a part of me, the middle of today's the first day that I consciously found myself going, goddamn bye week. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a part of me that I'm ready for this game. We've still got to wait 10 days for it to get here. I'm sure I'll be okay. We'll get to Saturday.
Yeah.
I'll bathe in just being able to watch some football and chill out a little bit. But even I'm feeling a little bit of antsiness to get this game going. And if I'm feeling the antsiness.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason, Catch. There's a reason. You and every Texas fan watching right now, me who's been covering Texas for years, our bodies are programmed for this weekend to be Texas OU and there to be no bye. The last time Texas had a bye, the week immediately before OU. Do you know when? I looked it up today.
I don't.
1981 is the last time Texas had a bye.
That can't be right. That can't be right.
Double check me. The last time they had a bye leading into the OU game, 1981. So effectively,
well done, SEC. Like the SEC's like, look, what we do are bye weeks before big games, or That's kind of what they're known for.
Because they have given Bama LSU that treatment before. They've given the Iron Bowl that treatment plenty of times. And they're saying to Texas and OU exactly that. You're a big dog rival, and we're going to let you have that rest in between. By the way, Super Chat has already come in. S. Roan 45's got a feeling for $5. I feel like this Red River will be like 05, where they play us hard for a half or so, then we pull away big. A half or so? Is that how long it lasted in 05?
It was not how long it lasted in 05. It lasted about a quarter.
I was going to say, Catch. I don't remember OU playing a half or so of hard football.
It lasted about as long as it took for Texas to put that first touchdown on the board.
Because I turned to somebody at 14-6 and said, if Texas doesn't turn the ball over, this is a blowout. Well, that's how long it took me.
The closer we get to this game, the more you start thinking about this is a good OU defense. So OU comes into this game with a puncher's chance in that if they can force a number of turnovers, if they can turn Texas over, create big plays, they put themselves in a position where maybe they can be competitive in this game. On paper, it's a blowout in terms of which team comes in with not just the edge on offense. And who knows exactly what it'd be fascinating to see just how much of OU's wide receiver unit returns for this game. But, Texas is pretty maxed out. If they're not a 10 at the quarterback position coming into this game, they got to be a 9.5, a 9, and Oklahoma is maybe a 5. What are you at the quarterback position when you're getting okay quarterback play from a guy who's made one career start? On paper, if this isn't a blowout, I don't know when Texas will ever blow Oklahoma out because they have such a gigantic edge on the offensive side of the ball. But Oklahoma is good on defense. They did, that Tennessee game could have been a blowout, but it was at home. The defense did play well. They turned Tennessee over in just the parts of the field that you would want to be able to turn Tennessee over. The offense wasn't always able to take advantage of that. But I've said I think this is a game, when healthy, that suits Quinn Ewers more so than it suits a young Arch Manning, because Arch is a guy that still has never played in this game before. And, I think Oklahoma's aggression on defense is its pathway, but it might also be its downfall. That if you're coming after Quinn, who we know gets the ball out quickly, who thrives in the short and intermediate passing game, if you're bringing pressure and you're bringing extra guys, and right now, rushing 4 has not been the pathway to create pressure on Quinn Ewers. Ask Michigan. They tried. They had probably the best front 4 that Texas will play all season long, and Michigan was helpless to start Texas or to stop Texas. So, the first quarter of this game will be really interesting. Texas has been so good. 56-0 in the first quarter. Now, they're not throwing up a bunch of 14-0, 21-0s in every game, but they're ahead in every game. The fact that Texas hasn't trailed once this season still kind of boggles my mind a little bit. There will be a point this season, presumably, when someone scores first against Texas, and then the reaction will be, okay, here we go. They're finally behind. And my guess is they'll respond with a scoring drive that takes like 2 minutes.
Yeah, you may be right. Look at you. Barely got to Wednesday, and it's already OU pregame for you. The bye week does not exist for Jeff Ketchum. Kieran is coming up here at maybe 5 minutes. Before we sneak Kieran in, Catch, why don't I have you take a breath and talk about the beautiful breaths that can be provided by the good folks at Rogue Shop. This may be a part of your off week, right?
What are you talking about?
Maybe.
It hasn't been a part of my hour yet, but, the hour is still early. Look, go to rogueshop.com. I took a gummy last night. It's funny. I took a gummy early because, you know what? It took the edge off a little bit. I needed it last night. And then I went to bed and I slept like a baby. Yeah, there's so many reasons why you go to Rogue Shop. If you're into, legal CBD, THC, keep it in-house, spend it with Orange Blood's family, spend it with the crew that specializes in customer service and making sure you are as happy as you can possibly be. Scan that QR code. Go check it out. The products, I talk about every single day, from the gummies to the salve for the pain. They've got it for your pets. So many things that you can use for your daily use to make your life a little bit better, to make pain and anxiety and sleeplessness go away. But you can't get it if you don't go there. And you don't go there without a little bit of action. So scan that QR code, go to the website today, do a little bit of shop, and make your week a little bit better with Rogue.
There you go. Shout out to Rogue Shop on all of our great partners. Hey, as long as we're at it, shout out to Texas Card House. They are the official sponsor of the show. Now you see them right there underneath. House Divided. If you haven't been out there, it's a big screen. How big? Largest TV in North Austin is what they've got for you. Ketch has been there. He's seen it. By the way, see over there on the left side next to that beer?
I do notice that, Chad.
What do those look like? Looks like chicken tenders. Ketch tells us they are good enough to go have the chicken tenders. You'll be satisfied. Happy hour, 2 to 7 every day. Plus, watch the graphic change. The tournament is coming. The Trailblazer, $2 million in guarantees. The first stop is that location in Austin, October 16 through 28. If you are a poker player or you want to become one, or if maybe that $2 million will get you to start to be one, there's your QR codes. Check them out. Shout out to Texas Card House. Again, Kieran is coming up here in just a couple of minutes to give us his thought on just where he thinks Texas is going ultimately. No super chats right now, although, Catch, Ashley is impressed that we got Care Bear. How did y'all get Care Bear on the show? Only reason I'm watching today. LOL. Ashley, that's not true. You're just messing with us. That's not the only reason you're watching.
Ashley, that hurts.
A little bit.
That hurts.
A little bit.
Think about what you're saying. It hurts my feelings a little bit.
Right.
Not a lot, but a little bit.
We'll power through. Catch and Kieran have met before is the short answer to that question.
Well, Kieran used to host a show on Orange Was Live before it was Orange Was Live. But then Kieran got big and, bigger than Orange Bloods, and moved out to New York City and travels to run races against Tyreek Hill and stuff. And
we've had him on the show.
Actually, full transparency, I reached out to Kieran last week. And I sent him a DM he didn't get back to me because he's busy and stuff. I get it. But then he sent us a super chat on Monday. And I was like, Kieran, you're in the super chat. You're in the chat. You're in the specs chat. Check your DMs. We want you to get on the show this week. And then that was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yes, that was yesterday during the show, and he hit you back, and in just a day it got set up. Ashley,
because I asked for today because Thursday we've got Brian Jones, and then sometimes I hate to ask guests to come on Friday because it's Friday.
Yeah, no, it's totally fair. So that's how that all got hooked up, and we've had Kieran on what would you guess 3 times?
Oh, more than that.
3, 4, 5.
Well, maybe? I guess it's been a while. Maybe like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. One hand-ish, somewhere in there, somewhere around the 5 spot. He's fantastic. And he is really fired up. And you know what, Jamie? I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Chad. Jamie says Chad's worth tuning in for too. Okay.
That's why we have Chad here, Jamie, because a whole lot of me alone doesn't go anywhere.
Hey, we learned a long time ago in this deal, a whole lot of either one of us by ourselves. That's not what y'all want. Y'all need the teamwork.
Although sometimes when you're gone and I am lazy and I don't find somebody to do a show with me and I just start talking craziness, people do like that.
I guess
they do that every day. It's like every once in a while.
I see.
It's like, go ahead, ask me anything. I'll talk about anything. And then it does get a little out of control. I start talking about things I probably shouldn't talk about, and there we go.
Short doses is what they like.
By the way, while we're waiting, never mind. I was just going to brag on the fact that last night I had a good night on Prize Picks.
That is good.
It is good. It feels like it's been a minute.
Would you like to brag? Kieran
No,
is ready to go.
I don't need to brag anymore. I see Kieran waiting to join the show. I can save my prize picks discussion for later.
Gotcha. All right, let's bring him on in. He is ready to go. He's returning to the show. It is the one and the only Kieran. Kieran, how are you?
I'm doing phenomenal. Chad Hastings, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing well. I was pumped to hear you were coming on. I can hear the massive confidence in your voice and in your heart and in your soul every time you talk about these Texas Longhorns. So we thought it'd be a good time to get you here at the bye week. Take a breath.
Well, and Chad, the thing, Chad, is that when we've had Kieran on before, Texas has felt like the little engine that could so often, right? Kieran would come in and he would say, I think we're going to make the playoffs. I think there's a chance that we could win a national championship. And it felt a little bit like, look at Kieran. He's moving a little closer to the edge of the limb, talking all of that big talk. Kieran, I wonder, what does it feel like for you this season? There's no doubt. There's no questioning whether or not Texas belongs in these discussions. They're back to being legitimately a big dog and a power broker in college football. Has that sunk in yet? Because your confidence doesn't sound like big, bold talk anymore. It just sounds like the kind of thing Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State fans say and do.
Yeah, no, it's weird having a good football program again, just like year in, year out, or like looking forward to a season and having it be like we just casually went undefeated into OU this week, right? Next week.
Yes!
We've only done that one time since Colt McCoy was on campus, and it was last year. So the fact that we've done that back-to-back years is crazy. We haven't left that game undefeated since Colt McCoy was on campus. So overall, I mean, it's been amazing to see. It's been unbelievable. Like you said, the bold takes aren't very bold anymore because Sarkisian's actually built a monster down here, and it feels good.
So, Kieran, at this point, 5-0, bye week, headed towards OU. Give me, in your mind, what you've been the most right about on the 24 team and what you think you've been the most wrong about in the 2014.
Wow. Most right about, I definitely would say our offense is just unbelievable. And yes, they've had like their ups and downs. The run game's not clicking as much, but if you really look at it, we've never struggled to move the ball this season against anyone, against Michigan, against any of the teams that we played so far. And yes, we played 4 cupcakes in Michigan, but at the same time, that Michigan defense, I think you're seeing against USC, against these other opponents that they're facing, they are a legit defensive unit, and it's not easy to move the ball on them over and over and over again. And in the first half, we just had whatever it was that we wanted. I think that was the thing that I was most right about. Most wrong, I would say I was very, very concerned about linebacker. And I was thinking, outside of Anthony Hill, I think Leona might struggle early on, or David Benda, he's going to be struggling in rotation, and they have both been amazing. Also, I think I've also been wrong about the secondary. I was really, really concerned about their speed back there, like coming into, especially last year, which is where I think at the safety position we really got tore up. And I was really, really wrong about Mookie Taft, who has honestly probably been one of our best DBs all season, and he's going out there and popping people, which has been ridiculous. Even more ridiculous than the fact that a man out of Austin Westlake has the nickname Mookie. It's I just think it's been really fun to watch him this season.
What exactly do we think that represents for young Michael Taft? That Mookie is his nickname. It makes me feel like that's a man that gets invites to the cookouts.
Hey, man, I'm not going to lie. Texas has the sauciest white boys in the country. We got YSL Manning. We got Quinn Ewers. We got Mookie Taft. They're not really ready, bro. You see the double nose wipe for Arch's celebration with Trey Wisner. I think we got the sauciest white boys in the country.
That little shimmy that Arch is doing, I like that too. The little shimmy celebration.
He had a little trip out. It's like what LSU does. A little like he was hitting him and Hayden Connor. That's what I'm saying. That's another one.
Yeah, if I try to do that, Kieran, my wife would call the doctor. But Arch.
It's what they say about guys from Austin Westlake. They are
Austin Westlake and Newman High School in New Orleans, straight out of the trenches, brother. That's where they really come from. Really, the gutter.
They're teaching the entire team what sauciness really looks like.
It was like that with Shane Buechele, man. It's a Texas thing, man. You got to understand. It's a Texas thing. We got Quinn out of the hard streets of South Lake Carroll. You know what I mean? South Lake, Texas is a tough place to grow up, man.
So, Kieran, we've got a super chat that came in, and I want to use it to have you answer this next one. So, Hooked on the Horn says for $5, thank you, Hooked. Kieran, how bad are we going to beat those sorry-ass Oklahoma Sooners? We'll go through the rival games. Size up for me the Sooners, the Hogs, and the Aggies from what you've seen so far. Go.
Yeah, I know you guys are probably expecting me to come in here and say we're just going to absolutely dominate, and you're expecting me to go off and on about how great Texas is going to be in these rivalry games and how we're going to own all our rivals. And that would be correct, because that is exactly what is happening, okay? I think we start off a little slow against Oklahoma because it's Oklahoma, you know what I mean? They always, for whatever reason, come into that game wanting to get a little bit more than we do. For a year after year, even the year that we won 49-0, if you look the way they started that game, they were intense. They came with more intensity than we did. But I think like that year it was 49-0, we're too much for them. Arkansas, I really like their talent over there. Running back Quinn Jackson went to my high school, big fan, also former Longhorn. I hope he does really, really well. Against the Longhorns, he's getting his ass busted. I'm so sorry. Taylor Green's going to throw like 7 interceptions as well. He loves turning the ball over. The most worrisome game I have is the A&M game. I will calm down for the A&M game simply because, Chad, we're in your presence right now. I can't just disrespect your team like that, even though you're going to get your sorry asses bounced in College Station at the end of the season by at least 3 touchdowns. Now, listen, it's going to be the intensity that we have going into that game. I love Marcel Reed. I love what he does for that team. Colin Klein, I think he matches that system so much better. I think that system works so much better with Marcel Reed at quarterback. I also think you guys could sneakily be a 9-win, potentially 10-win team if you guys continue to click the way that you are right now. With that being said, Texas is going to absolutely put belt to ass in College Station, dominate, and secure their first 12-0 season since 2009. People were thinking that an undefeated season wasn't possible in the playoff era, but the Texas Longhorns are going to show you that that's the truth. As long as we don't play Kalen DeBoer in the playoff. I really don't want to play Kalen DeBoer in the playoff.
You're good with DeBoer at this point.
Get Kalen DeBoer the hell out of college football. Send him to the NFL. The Cowboys need a coach in a couple of years. He can go play. He can go coach all of those guys after Mike McCarthy. Get Kalen DeBoer out of my college football. It's un-American.
You know, I have a theory that in less than 5 years, both DeBoer and Sark could be in the NFL. Because I think Sark's in a position where I would be really surprised at this point if by the time Arch is done, if it's not this year or either of the next 2 seasons, Texas is really poised to win a national championship. When Arch is gone, I just keep wondering, is there going to be a team that's going to have the first pick in the draft? Maybe they're wondering, God, are the Mannings going to do a San Diego deal like they did with Eli and they're not going to want to report? But if Sarkisian was hired to be the head coach of the team that was going to draft Arch, it seems like maybe that would be too good of a situation to be true. And with DeBoer, it just feels like that guy is eventually going to get opportunities himself. And, you know, I don't know enough about him to know that he wouldn't want to go to the NFL. So it's not crazy that we might be watching Alabama and Texas for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, maybe cement themselves in the SEC as the 2 schools that the championship runs through each and every year. And then eventually, you know, those guys are going to get opportunities and maybe they stay. But, you know, I could see Sark eventually, he's not going to do it before he would win a championship. But if the man has a natty, I could see him eventually saying, you know what? There's still one more thing I feel like I need to do.
Yeah, I think that's the exact thing that I was thinking of. It's the natty. I think coaches at the college football level, they have a threshold. Especially the elite college coaches, they have a threshold of like, okay, I've been here for 4 or 5 years. I'm a national title contender. Do I want to stay and see through a national title? Chip Kelly at Oregon. I'm thinking of other coaches right now, but like Chip Kelly at Oregon, he was there, built a dominant program, and the question was, are you going to go to the NFL or are you going to stay and try to build a national championship program? Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma had the opportunity to do it. Matt Campbell at Iowa State, for whatever reason, I thought he was going to go to the NFL. Why would he stay at Iowa State? But apparently thought he was going to build a national title contender there. LOL,
they're
you know
pretty
what I mean?
good this year, though. Matt Campbell is back, baby.
The siren showed up at the right time.
Yeah, you guys hear the sirens right now. It's ridiculous out here in New York City. They're calling the police on you for that take, Jeff. But I just think
I tried to sneak that one in, and the cops got called.
Yeah,
no, I'm telling you, it's really just that it's that little threshold of like, okay, do I want to stay? I feel like Texas is a big enough program, and hearing Sark talk about how obsessed he is with winning a championship and this and this and that, for sure. Now, if we do end up getting that coveted national title, I think at that point it's about, do you want to build a program like Nick Saban and stay here, or do you want to go to the next level and do you want to go coach at the highest level of football? And I think that'll be a question that happens. I hope it's after a natty compared to before, because if Arch leaves campus without winning a national title and we haven't been in that situation yet, I think you could see Sark leave.
Chad, did I say natty?
Did you say it? I don't.
Kieran said it. Did I say it?
You said natty.
I'm not sure. You may have. You may have fallen in, old man. You may have fallen into the natty.
I literally had just said, Kieran. I don't know. The word natty is now being said so much. One of Anwar Richardson's sources said it in talking about Quinn.
Yeah,
and I was like, I just don't know. Like at 48 years old, I don't know when that. I don't want to, I don't want to do like the dad.
48 is young, man. You're younger than my mother. You can't be calling no age younger than my mother old.
I don't want to like culturally like appropriate the word natty and take it if it was created by younger people, cooler people, and now kids at Westlake High School or middle school are saying it and have just taken it away like the dab.
I think I like natty. It's been natty since I was a kid, though. I feel like I learned natty from the older generation. Like,
I did. The people are saying I did say it.
Yep. I think so. See, they just don't remember the Natty Light days. Natty Light's not as big a deal now, I think, because all us old folks just think of that beer and Larry Eustace and partying on campus.
Jesus, Kieran, what's going on behind you? There's more sirens.
It's New York City, man. Honestly, there's people out here. I don't know. I have no clue. They're eating cats and dogs or something out here. I don't know what's happening.
All right, so Kieran, I will get you to a quarterback discussion this way. Give me a fill in the blank. Arch Manning replaces a healthy Quinn Ewers if blank.
If
Jesus, Chad,
I replaces a healthy Quinn Ewers.
Mm-hmm.
If Quinn is like, okay, if we go to Oklahoma, Quinn throws 2 picks and has a 24% completion percentage going into the fourth quarter, and it's still a close game, maybe.
Okay.
He's just been a liability. I think Quinn would have to be an absolute liability on the field for that to happen. But do I see that happening? No, because I think even I think Arch's upside has shown to be higher than Quinn's, but I think Quinn's understanding of the offense and what you can do with him is far wider than what you can do with Arch right now. I feel like Arch is short and intermediate. The intermediate's been good, but the short throws around the line of scrimmage, the RPOs haven't been as heavy with Arch there. So yeah, I would say it takes Quinn having a really, really bad game, which I just don't see happening at this stage in his career.
Gotcha. That's fair.
Yeah,
Quinn,
he just hasn't had a bad game a really bad game in a while, in my opinion.
No, you're right. Like that was what you worried about in 2022.
Yeah.
That all of last year was about removing that from his bag of tricks. And now it's about how much is he elite? Because it always feels like the floor for Quinn is pretty good these days. And it's just a matter of, is he going to reach the heights that we've seen him hit? Well, we've seen Arch Manning hit weirdly enough every time he seems to play. I
think also. I was just gonna say, I think it's also like it's somewhat like a Jalen Hurts Tua Tagovailoa situation at Alabama, but where I think the younger guy is the more talented one and the one that's gonna have like more success long term. But overall, I don't think we're gonna get a Jalen Hurts type half out of Quinn Ewers this season. I think he legitimately has claim to being the best quarterback in college football this year.
Kieran, I've got like a 2-part quarterback or a 2-part question. They're somewhat intertwined, but not necessarily. Oklahoma, they're gonna come after Quinn, right? Like that's the strength of that team. Their DNA is attack, kind of consequences be damned. And typically that defense is good enough that they don't really get barbecued because of their aggression. But I don't know if that's the best way to approach Texas. If you were going to reverse engineer this and someone asked, what's your game plan to stop this Texas offense? Is it attack or is it something else than something different than maybe Oklahoma's approach might look like?
I feel like with Quinn Ewers, I think the approach should be attack. It should be try to take away everything closer to the line of scrimmage, and that's what Oklahoma's defense has been good at this year. We saw Michigan kind of play the opposite of that. They tried to stop everything in the middle, and then they had Will Johnson playing 12, 15 yards off the line of scrimmage. They were not trying to get beat deep in that game whatsoever. And I think I think the opposite of that approach would work, because against Quinn, he's shown you time and time again, if you play conservative against him, he's perfectly fine taking everything underneath, nickel and diming you down the field, and just hitting the edges with RPOs, with screens, with sweeps, with an outside zone. Like, it just over and over and over again. I think Oklahoma's approach should be the way they have been playing and force Quinn to beat you. And I think Quinn's going to beat them in the intermediate and in the deep as well, because Oklahoma's defense has given up so many explosive plays this year. I think they've given up like 18 plus plays of over 20 yards this season already. I think I think it's going to be tough for Oklahoma to match up with us, just because personnel wise they just don't have it at corner right now. And also our offensive line is playing at an unbelievable level.
As long as they don't bring in little sloppy plays to Dallas, get rid of the sloppiness that's been there against Mississippi State. That would be big.
I think more than anything, what's killed the Texas offense, if you go look at the drives where they've had to punt, there's been penalties. It's been pre-snap procedural or holding penalties over and over again that have taken you out of whether it was field goal range or just killed your drive in total. But other than that, it's been very rare that we've straight up gone 3 and out without a penalty attached to it, or had to punt without a penalty attached to it. I have to go back and look at it. I think we punted one time on a drive where there wasn't a penalty attached to it.
Kieran, question about there's a lot of little things in that Mississippi State game that Steve Sarkisian wants to tighten up on and all that. To the drop and the 2 fumbles, talk to me about your sort of trust level versus worry level for guys like Blue and Cook. How quickly do you think Sark's going to work them back into the offense against OU, especially Blue, because he didn't give him 1 carry after that second fumble? Give me your thought on kind of those 2 guys and their mindset.
Well, I'll start with Jonte because it's quick. Jonte came in the very next drive and caught a pass over the middle. I think Jonte, that's what happens with young receivers. I watched Xavier Worthy do the exact same thing his sophomore year in the Alamo Bowl against Washington. Like, it is what it is. Jonte's way too talented to let that one play stop him from getting on the field, and also letting it bother him. If y'all watch him at DeSoto, he'll tell you this too. He dropped some passes at DeSoto just like that too, in the end zone, down the sideline, whatever it was. I think that's something that Jonte's really working on, and I think he'll get better. Jaden Blue, in my opinion, I'd still start Jaden Blue. I think the fumbles are a concern, and I think it's more so upsetting for the coaching staff, because this is an issue that I know you guys know he has had his freshman year. I think he had gotten more carries, maybe got in the game later and whatnot if he wasn't fumbling so much in practice. Last year, I think he would have been higher in the rotation had he not been fumbling so much in practice and getting more touches. So I think now, seeing that he had the two fumble game, I think it's tough. I think there was one really, really incredible defensive play that happened, but I think now that he's aware of it, he's had that bad moment, as well as the entire team. I think he'll get over that, move past it, and give us a really, really good year. And also, we need him. Like, we need him. The fact that there's fans out here in this fan base talking about, oh, I'd sit him down and I wouldn't let him touch. We have 3 scholarship running backs healthy. Deal with it, bro. I'm sorry. Like, that's just, and also, he's your most explosive one. He gives you the highest upside out of the running back position. I love Jarek. I think Jarek has incredible upside. Trey as well, catching the ball out of the backfield. They're not as explosive as Jaden or as experienced as Jaden. They haven't had as many years in the strength and conditioning program. You see Jaden runs with a little bit more of a vigor than the rest of the guys. So it's I don't know. It sucks that we had to deal with that, but also it's great that it was Mississippi State and not a game like OU where fumbling twice could kill your momentum.
Kieran, I got a couple of questions, but first, a number of people have been wondering, Does Kieran have his own channel? Let's see know how they can get an overdose of Kieran in the coming weeks.
I do have my own channel. It's at Care Bear Kieran on YouTube. I really just upload shorts, and now I'm starting to get into more long form content where it's me just sitting here ranting and screaming at my camera about absolute nonsense. I'll have a video dropping later this week about the freshman class in college football. So that's pretty much it.
We got a super chat from Jamie who has a question that I was going to ask you, which is what comes to mind when I say 11 and go?
Best defensive player at Texas in 20 years. That's what comes to mind. I think genuinely Colin Simmons has walked in. We haven't had a 10-sack guy, I think, in almost 10 years. He's going to have 10 sacks this season. The fact that he's walked into this room, he, in my opinion, is cut from the same cloth that a Jeremiah Smith or a Ryan Williams is. They walked in and they were instantly the best player in their position room. And they're only getting better week after week. It's ridiculous. Colin is figuring it out as the competition gets stiffer, and he looks better and better and better. There's still things he has to work on. He's still a freshman. I think some of the runs that happened when he was on the field last week were because there was a tight end pulling or a guard pulling, and he wasn't going in there and hitting him and really sealing that edge. But overall, man, it's so nice to have a player like this. I watched Alabama have Dallas Turner and Will Anderson and all the crazy edge rushing talent. I'm watching South Carolina with Dylan Stewart right now. And it's nice to know that we at Texas have one of our own, especially given the fact that we struggle so much to sack the quarterback. Also, 6 sacks, 7 sacks last week? We haven't had that type of day in so long. So very excited about the edge rushers and getting pressure.
So, Kieran, you mentioned your prediction for Texas. If it lives out to a 12-0, obviously that means they go to Atlanta. I know you said you don't want to see him in the playoff, but do you think DeBoer is waiting in Atlanta?
It's either going to be him or Heupel. I would love to see Heupel. I would hate to see DeBoer. And,
so we know who you're rooting for on the 19th in Knoxville.
1,000%. 1,000%.
You're a UT guy, just a little brighter on the orange, right?
It's I would love a UT. Who's the real UT matchup in the SEC championship the first year? I'm gonna say DeBoer makes it there though too. I like the way he coaches in big games. I really do. I think if he had a more talented team and better trenches, he would have won a national title last year at Washington, which is crazy. But their Michigan team was full of 23, 24-year-olds, and they knew all Washington's plays. So.
Snuck that in. Kieran, I have 2 questions before we let you go. One, do you, of all of your tweets that have either gone semi-viral or full-blown viral over the years, do you know the one that I go back to the most, at least in the last couple of years, 10 times a year?
Wow.
I retweeted it as recently as this weekend.
Is it the Xavier Worthy getting missed for 90 seconds?
Yes, because all I can think of when I think of that video is, what if Arch Manning had played with Xavier Worthy?
Oh,
it's crazy. It's insane. I think having someone with an elite deep ball like Arch, I mean, man, he throws an incredible deep ball, and him, just watching that video makes me so mad. That whole 2021 season, it's funny because it's this is the process we had to go to get better, and it is what it is. But also, it's man, that team could have been so much better, and Xavier Worthy would have had a 1,500-yard season.
He had a 2,000-yard season. He's just running all over the place.
Dude, he was wide open so much and got missed so much. That was pain. But honestly, I mean, if you go back and watch, I know this is a deep cut. If you go back and watch the 2012 season, look at how wide open Mike Davis is most of the time, and David Ash is just missing him over and over and over. I think Mike Davis would have been an NFL player if it wasn't for David Ash not having a good deep ball. It was kind of. I'm being honest. It was tough. That 2012 receiver room was crazy. I think it was him, Marcus Johnson was in there, Kendall Sanders. Crazy Marquise Goodwin, crazy speed, but that Xavier Worthy video hurts, man.
That's a deep level take right there.
Hey, man, healthy from Casey Thompson could have done it. Real talk.
One more from me, Kieran, and it's back to the quarterbacks. Obviously, Arch running the ball. We'll keep that separate. Give me your favorite pass from each guy. Favorite pass from Quinn that sticks in your head. Favorite pass from Arch that sticks in your head from the season so far.
Favorite pass from Quinn. I mean, the no-look touchdown was crazy week 1, but I love the pass that he had to Gunnar Helm against Michigan. Climbs the pocket, delivers the ball on time, and like even though
then smack talked.
Yeah, it looked.
Yeah,
He's not really smack talking. He's checking to see if he's past the line of scrimmage. But for my purpose, he was smack talking. He was immediately talking to Kenneth Green. That's my favorite. That's my favorite one from him. And then my favorite one from Arch was the throw this last weekend. Knowing that you have a free rusher, you have DeAndre Moore on a slot fade, and he throws like he's in his throwing motion before DeAndre Moore is like even past his guy, but he just trusts his guy. And that's another thing about this wide receiving core. Like, Jay Witt's my guy. Love Jay Witt. Love A.D. Mitchell and all that stuff. The fact that you have this much speed all over the field, though, you can run a slot fade with DeAndre Moore. Trust that he's faster than the guy guarding him in the slot. Throw that thing up and know that he's going to win on that route. Just because you have that much speed at every position at wide receiver. I think that was a beautiful throw. The way he lofted it up, that's a really hard catch to make, too. DeAndre Moore might be the most well-rounded receiver we have. And, that throw was just gorgeous. It was a sign of things to come, too. Everyone's in trouble, including you, Chad. You better cry whenever Arch Manning comes to town.
I need to get some.
Y'all got to play Arch Manning in Austin next year? Ugh.
Is that where they're scheduling that game? We can't we double check that, please?
Yeah. Chad, you didn't ask me, but I like the moon ball that Arch threw in the UTSA game in the corner of the end zone where before the ball was even caught, as watching the game, it was like you knew it was 6 when the trajectory of the ball hadn't even reached its apex. It was such a beautiful throw. And I don't know if it was the angle from the TV angle, but the whole thing.
Was it that pylon route to Jonte where like he's like running like outside and the ball just went right over his shoulder perfectly?
It takes a lot at this point for me to just come out of my seat and just, God damn, to just see that in Art.
Yeah.
That was the one for me that got it. Here's my last question, Kieran. There's not a lot of hot takes that you can provide about this Texas football team that feel hot. I mean, it's either the number 1 or number 2 ranked team in the country. You can only say so much without it sounding, well, that is reasonable. So give me your hottest Texas football hot take about this year's team that actually serves as a legit white hot even take. Can there even be one?
I'll give you one that's personnel based. I think the second best edge outside of Colin Simmons is Colton Vasek. And when Colton or Vasek, whenever he gets on the field, it's a complete change. And I think you see him now starting to take more reps early on in the game. He got in the second quarter, I think, against Mississippi State. Instantly got in, got pressure, got a sack. You notice when he's on the field, and in my opinion, I think he's your second best pass rusher. I think he's a guy that needs to play a little bit more. And then overall team-wise, I think we beat Georgia by 10 points or more.
That's what I was waiting for, Chad.
There you go. See, I was going to ask. Obviously, he's got Texas beating all 3 rivals by 21 plus. Kieran, do they trail for the rest of the regular season at all?
Yes. Yes, we trail at some point. I think we give up early. Honestly, I think we trail next weekend. I think Oklahoma comes out hot. Michael Hawkins has a really good first drive, and everyone's pissing their pants early on. And then we proceed to smack. Yeah. Just smack them the rest of the game.
Well, that's it, Catch. Kieran is clearly down on this team. He thinks they're going to trail at some point. That's silly. That's silly talk.
Pessimistic.
I don't think we lose for the next 10 years, though.
There it is. A decade of undefeated football is on the way.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That sounds lovely.
The president's going to have to sign new bills into legislature to stop us from recruiting and sending out the NIL bags.
That is fantastic. Real quick, on the way out, just enjoyed this chat prediction from Jamie. We gonna Joel Klatt the Aggie. Jamie, that was 70-3. That's what you're predicting in College Station? 70-3, Kieran?
I think it's possible. It's possible. If we're really on a mission, man, it's really possible.
Oh, man.
I don't think it's going to. Unless Marcel Reed's ligaments fall off the bone like a smoked turkey leg.
Look, man, it's got to be a hell of a thing to live your entire life, to have been a good enough athlete that you're a starting quarterback in a Big 12 championship game, you're good enough, and that your entire life you become a verb for getting your ass knocked out cold. That is messed up, but it is the reality of Joe Klatt's life.
Yeah, that is.
I'll never
crazy.
forget watching that game with my Caribbean father, and he was sitting there asking me, like, "You like this? Why you like this?" He blew him out. I'll never forget that. Conference championship, I was so excited. I was a little nervous. I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I was 7 years old. He's like, "Why are we watching this? This is not even remotely close. It was bad, especially that block punt. Oh my goodness, what are we doing?"
Yeah,
what are we doing?
Brutal. That was brutal. They beat him so bad the stadium fell apart. Like it was
great times.
Grief. It's crazy.
That was in Houston, right?
That was in Houston. Yeah, at NRG.
Houston.
They put up temporary stands that like collapsed, I think, that day.
I met my wife the night before that game, and then we agreed that night to meet at halftime of the Texas-Colorado game. And at halftime, I'm searching where we'd agreed. But you remember back in the day when cell reception at stadiums was so terrible that if 1,000 people showed up, suddenly you couldn't get text messages and stuff? We were running around trying to find each other at halftime. I was just about to give up, and then there she was, and then we got married.
By the way, catch that look on Kieran's face is the look of a man who's been dealing with smartphones for a long time at games. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I do shows and games.
It's still recent enough.
It's still a reasonable problem. It's still a crazy problem.
Catch, I do podcasts.
But if you have Verizon, though, at DKR, it's great. Verizon at DKR. It's
there you go. There's the commercial. You got anything else, Catch?
No, Kieran, don't be a stranger. Like we'll connect, and we loved having you.
Hold on, I got a bone to pick. You have my phone number. Why are you messaging me like the common people? Just shoot me a text message. Shoot me a text message, man.
You know why?
Twitter notifications.
I get so many text messages from pop. Like last night, I was in the middle of the debate. My phone just wouldn't stop with the political texts.
You just got too much motion, I guess. Is that
I don't know what it is, but I don't look at my phone a lot because I just assume that it's somebody asking for $20. And so, by the way, hold on. South End Zone Queen jumping in with a late super chat.
Uh-oh.
We needed Irishman versus Caribbean.
That's funny.
That'd be fun.
All right, Kieran, get out of here. We appreciate it, my man. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Kieran. There he is. Care Bear Kieran. If you missed how to get a hold of him, catch
both on YouTube and on Twitter.
Yep. Check everything that he's got going on. Fantastic. Thank you, South End Zone Queen, for jumping in. Over 730 of you in that Specs chat. Let's take a quick breath here, and we'll let you see and hear that great AV consultation spot. You're going to be sitting at home this weekend, Longhorn fans, watching all that great football. But is your setup as great as it can be? Pay attention.
Hi, this is Tom McKay with Audiovisual Consultations.
And Camilla McKay.
Kid, what time is it?
Old man, it's back to sports time. The hockey and football seasons are upon us.
And baseball is winding down to the best part.
And what about basketball season?
I'm 5'2". Who the hell cares about basketball?
Yeah, we're talking about watching, not playing. And in that case, you've got everyone covered, right?
That's right. Audiovisual Consultations has been providing awesome systems and service throughout Texas for over 30 years.
Installing home entertainment systems and livening up restaurants with incredible audio and video systems.
We're talking multi-screen video walls.
And home entertainment that puts you in the best seat in the stadium.
Just give us a call at 512-255-8678.
Hey, aren't you forgetting something?
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Hug your kids until they beg you to stop. Watch a game with your friends.
And make love to whoever the hell you want.
Just give us a call at 512-255-8678 or visit us at avconsultations.com. Go Stars!
Go Bruins!
Kid.
All righty. House divided on a Wednesday. Thanks to Kieran for jumping in and joining us. We started with the good news, the good developing news on Quinn Ewers' Anwar's report from orangebloods.com earlier. If you didn't check it out, you can go check it out at orangebloods.com. But things are looking good for Quinn Ewers to be the guy in Dallas for Texas, what every Texas fan wants to hear right now, Catch. So for you, we're just about to one. We got a few minutes to go till maybe buy or sell. What else is on your mind today outside of the Quinn story?
Nothing.
Okay.
Really. Like it's it's a Wednesday in the middle of a bye week, and it's not a college football weekend where, there's a little part of me that, is A&M and Missouri the best game of the weekend? I know that game day is going to the Cal game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if that's a good game. Look, I guess Cal, they beat Auburn, if I'm not mistaken. They beat somebody in the SEC. If I remember, it was like 21-14. But I don't know. It's like the calm before the storm. So I'm feeling that today a little bit, right? You can only talk about Texas needs to find a running back so much. You can only talk about the quarterback so much. I have felt there's no game today, more so today than I have any other day this week. And by tomorrow, you start to ramp up a little bit. You'll start thinking a little bit more, and we'll make some chicken salad out of chicken poop if we need to. But the A&M Missouri game is really interesting to me because I don't know what fully to make out of A&M. And Missouri comes into this season as a top 10 team. And it feels like after the last couple of games that they've played at home, that nobody really believes they're top 10 anymore. Matter of fact, when we did our SEC Power Poll this week, which I posted over at orangebloods.com, Missouri, on my list, I ranked Missouri behind Kentucky and South Carolina and LSU. So I'm down enough on Missouri that I have them behind teams with one loss.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the only one. Cody put Missouri behind LSU. But then Travis has Missouri 5th ahead of Kentucky and Ole Miss and LSU and A&M. And then you look at Anwar, and Anwar's like me. He's got Missouri at 9th behind. Now, Anwar, I don't know what's happening with our guy. Less than 2 weeks ago, Anwar had OU and A&M ranked the lowest of anybody on the Orange Blood staff.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, oh, look at Anwar. The hate is flowing. He's not even natural to the OU A&M hate, but he's got them so low on his power poll that clearly he just hates them. This week, this is Anwar's SEC power poll. Alabama won, which he had 5th last week. A dramatic climb for the Crimson Tide. Mm-hmm. Texas, it's got Georgia 3rd, Tennessee 4th, and then this gets really interesting. LSU is 5th, A&M is 6th, OU is 7th, Missouri is 8th, Ole Miss is 9th.
Yeah. I think it could just be a case of some undercooking followed by some overcooking. Because I told everybody, Catch, whoever lost the Notre Dame A&M game was going to get roasted. And A&M did. Everybody acted like they're the worst team on the planet. And then the win against Florida and the win against Arkansas, I would argue, it told us a little, but does it really tell us what the Aggies are? I don't know. I'm obviously fascinated by the game on Saturday. There's respect to get on both sides. Can Missouri prove they're a top 10 team? Catch, the reason Missouri fell off that ranking is because they just went incognito in a bad way. They just went close against Boston College, close against Vandy, bye week. They disappeared, but they're still top 10. Maybe. So I'm really interested in the game. Here's a stat I thought you'd like. They are top 10 in third down offense and defense. They're 7th in the country converting third downs. They're 7th in the country stopping third downs. If that continues, they'll beat A&M. And they'll get a nice win on the road. I'm also watching Le'Veon Moss, who's looking better for A&M. He's the reason
they game last weekend.
The reason they beat Arkansas. He had 80 yards in that fourth quarter. He's got to be big for A&M. And Catch, Luther Burden, 21st in the country in receiving touchdowns. You know who's caught a touchdown for Missouri other than Luther Burden? Nobody. He's got 4. That's it. Weiss has more.
And that's crazy because Weiss has had some big games, but he hasn't gotten into the end zone.
Weiss has more catches. Weiss has more yards, but nobody has touchdowns other than Burden. So that game's really interesting to me. Missouri's got numbers that'll jump out at you, but I've been telling people since the schedule came out, Catch, they're going to be 4-0 coming to College Station unless something crazy happens.
Well, so look, Missouri shows up top 10 in the country, but I think they're the least believed in top 10 team in the country. So there's that game, which will have my attention, and that's an early one. That's an 11 a.m. kickoff.
It's 11. The other stuff for me, Catch, is real simple. It's road tests for different teams that you may not see coming. There's a lot of interesting teams on the road at a game you might not care about. Ole Miss is at South Carolina.
Well, to me, that's the other game.
Right?
When you look at South Carolina, they're undefeated. If that LSU game gets called fairly,
sure, gets officiated right, some would say. And
so,
remember they whipped Kentucky at Kentucky.
They beat Kentucky in Lexington by 25.
Right. That's a team that team's on the Aggie schedule, and they got my attention that day where I'm not overlooking that game. Not that I was, but I'm certainly not now. But here's some others, Catch. Bama at Vandy, we assume Bama will handle their business, but they're coming off of the crazy Georgia game. Will they care? Will they care early? It's right in the middle of the day in Nashville. So they're in that 3:15 spot. Now, how about the evening kicks? Tennessee, Michigan, and USC all go on the road. Tennessee's at Arkansas. Guaranteed win? I don't know. I'm going to need to see it. Michigan at Washington. Long trip. New Big 12, Big 10, all the way out there. And then USC goes to Minnesota. Am I certain they're going to win? No, but who knows? They should handle their business, but we'll see. And then Catch back around to the game day game. We talk about it in the NFL all the time. Those dudes from Miami have to get up and fly all the way out to California. Then they have a 9:30 Central Time kick our time, which means in their bodies, it'll be 10:30 Eastern Time. That's a game I think we're all going to forget about. It's a 9:30 kick. Are we sure, after watching Miami beat Virginia Tech by that, are we sure they're going to go to Cal and just stomp on them?
No, I'm not sure of anything.
And you brought it up. That's a team that went all the way across the country to Auburn and beat them.
I made fun of Auburn for that. I was like, what in the world, Auburn? You're not a real SEC team if you let Cal.
Yeah.
By the way, can I make a confession? I haven't told anybody this.
Sure.
Last week, the USC-Wisconsin game.
Yes.
I forgot that was a Big Ten game. I watched chunks of that game thinking it was a non-conference Big Ten Pac-12 game. And then probably in the fourth quarter, it was like, wait a minute. This is a Big Ten game.
Catch, the weirdest thing for me so far this year has been the late night window with the Big 10 and Big 12 logos on the field. It's freaking me out. I'll start watching a game and it's like Oregon and whoever else, Oregon and Arizona, whoever they're playing. And I'm like, why does it say, oh yeah, they're in the Big 10? And then this week, Kansas at Arizona State kicks at 7. Tech and Arizona kick at 10 o'clock at night, Central Time. And they're going to be out in Tucson, and there's going to be a Big 12 logo on that field, and my mind just melts every time I see it.
I would offer that we should do a watch-along for Missouri and A&M, but I don't want to put you through that. I just feel like last year on the occasions when we did the watch-alongs, it didn't work out well for your Aggies, and then there was little extra levels of torture. Like you had to sit through that Miami debacle.
Right.
And, by the time the fourth quarter rolled around, that wasn't fun.
It was
and then
not.
I can't even remember. You told me it was maybe Mississippi State.
Mississippi State was the field goal game, the field goal deke from you. Yes. That was fun.
Do we still have the video of that? Do you
No,
save that?
No. Even if I had it, I would tell you no, but I legitimately don't know where I would get it. If Blake's watching, he's about to put it in the system and play it, but I don't know where it is personally.
So yeah. We will watch that game separately.
Yeah, we will.
But I'm ready for an 11 a.m. Missouri A&M kickoff. I just feel like this is a weekend in the SEC where we learn about the middle class, and it will tell us a lot about the way everybody should view their schedules the rest of the way. Missouri and A&M. If A&M beats Missouri, it's going to feel like, okay, Missouri's just a pretender.
Right.
And they're not the worst in the SEC, but they don't deserve to be mentioned in the same breath as the big dogs that are in the top 10.
Yeah, and for whatever it will mean, A&M will be 3-0 in conference at that point.
Yeah, I mean, they're the only 2-0 team in the conference right now. Kieran said it. It isn't. I agree. You know me. I have been a proponent of A&M's talent level. That no matter what people keep saying, this is a team that enters this season with one of the most talented teams in the country from a super blue chip perspective. And if you watch an A&M game, you watch 60 minutes of it. Every couple of minutes, a play will get made by somebody, and you'll go, "Oh, that guy's good." It's like, "Oh yeah, no, he was 40th in the country as a prospect. Like that's what he's supposed to be."
Yeah.
So, Alabama at Vandy, Georgia's at home to Auburn. I don't know that those games. I could see Alabama dragging itself through the mud a little bit in Vanderbilt, where it's the third quarter and it's 16-7 or something, and then they eventually separate. But for me this weekend, as a newcomer to the SEC, I want to. If Ole Miss loses at South Carolina, and I think they might. I mean, I don't know how to call that game, but South Carolina has my respect. But if Ole Miss loses, we could wake up on Sunday morning and Ole Miss isn't in the top 20 after what would have been 8 or 9 days prior. They were top 5, top 6 in the country. So,
right. And that's those are two of the teams we've been talking about, were to wait, take a breath, wait till their non-conference is over. Ole Miss and Missouri. Ole Miss showing themselves to be a little less of what we thought they were. And now Missouri, here's your opportunity. You're on the road at a team that is technically ranked, but nobody thinks A&M is a power right now. So it's your chance to grab some national respect. And it's the opposite thing for the Aggies. It's like, can you beat a team that somebody thinks is top 10? So that's a wild game.
Ole Miss is playing for its season, because if they lose to South Carolina, they're at the halfway point of the year. They've got 2 losses. They're probably on the outside. It's hard for me to believe that we're going to get to the end of the season and then a 2-loss team is in the conference is going to get to the SEC championship game. But they'll need to run the table to be in consideration for a playoff spot. And Lane Kiffin came into this season with a lot of pressure. The expectations were that they would take that next step. There's no Nick Saban to torment them. And so I'm talking myself now. It's Wednesday. We've had a little bit of a conversation. I'm now officially at Wednesday at 1:07 p.m. where I thought I would be tomorrow, which is I'd take a look at the schedule and I talk myself into, well, those aren't great games, but they're pretty good games. And the aftermath of for the losers as much as the winners will be really interesting. Could we wake up on Sunday and Missouri and Ole Miss are outside the top 15 and maybe Ole Miss outside the top 20? What do we do with the South Carolina team if they beat Ole Miss and suddenly they're a 1-loss team and the only loss they have is a 36-33 loss at home to LSU? Look, I give LSU credit for winning the game, right? I'm not punishing LSU, but if you watch the game, you know that South Carolina was on the wrong end, I think, of a couple of major calls, including a catch that they were given credit for that sets up the game-winning score.
Yeah.
You know what play I'm talking about, right? And then you had the touchdown that was overcalled. I mean, there was a lot that happened in that game. If South Carolina beats LSU and then they beat Ole Miss and they're undefeated, we're talking about a South Carolina team that's definitely, I think, in the top 10 at that point. Is that who they are? Like, forget about their records. Are they that kind of team, or is there a little bit of smoke and mirrors going on? I think we won't talk about Texas, obviously. We won't really spend a lot of time talking about Georgia and Alabama this week. But everybody else in the conference is playing. I feel like we might learn. I think that Arkansas game has got a chance to be messy for Tennessee. It's a night game, so you're getting all the hillbillies all fired up. They've been drinking their Walmart beer all day long. And then they get Tennessee at home, and it's a chance for Arkansas for them to salvage their season a little bit with a head coach that if he loses that game, suddenly the pressure in Fayetteville with regards to what happens with Pittman and is he on the hot seat? They win that game. I'm talking myself into this weekend being a little bit better than it probably is.
I was going to say I thought my job might be a little tougher, but I would just be reiterating everything you just said. Hope everybody is having a great Wednesday. We are up over that 1 o'clock spot. Real quick, let me tell you about Sinus and Snoring Specialist. Ketch was talking about maybe doing a watch along from Missouri. We can't do that. I'm going to be at the game. My mother's been nice enough to give up her ticket. I'm going to go sit right next to my dad. It's me and Doc Hastings and Missouri and A&M. I'll come back with a report next week. But that also means that I'm going to be sleeping in a hotel room with Doc Hastings. And if I'm snoring a lot or he's snoring a lot, we're going to be bugging each other. I can't speak for him. But I know I'm not going to be snoring a lot because of Sinus and Snoring Specialist. I have been sleeping like a baby since 2017, and it's because of these folks. They got rid of my allergies for good, got rid of my sleep apnea, kept at it throughout the process, and I took a sleep test. You take that at home and, in your own bed and everything, and they follow those numbers and get them to where they need to be. It's a great process. They really take care of you. You will meet Dr. Slaughter in the first consultation, and then you can start looking at all those different options. Your journey through this is going to be different, a little different than mine because everybody's different when it comes to the ear, nose, and throat thing. But these are the best folks. Sinus and Snoring Specialists. Feel clear, rested, and healthy. And a message to you, Doc Hastings. You better be quiet. You better be quiet. Don't go bugging me in the middle of the night. Come on now.
Or you'll be sending him to
lobby.
See a sleep specialist.
The lobby is where I'm going to send him. That's where he goes. He will go right to the lobby. They got couches there. All right, Catch, you ready to buy or sell on this Wednesday?
Yeah, let's do buy or sell and get the hell out of Dodge. Liverpool plays top of the hour.
Fair enough. Where do you want to start, or you want to
I'm going to let you start today.
All righty, let's start here. Buy or sell number one, Catch. With Quinn starting against OU, the two pass catchers that benefit most will be Bond and Helm.
Buy. Definitely Helm. There's no question that Quinn Ewers has a thing with Isaiah Bond as well. Yeah, I think that's a completely safe and fair statement. So buy.
All right, let's play some running math here. Buy or sell number two. Blue has 238 on the ground. He needs 109 a game to get to 1,000 in the regular season. You think he'll have it by the end of game in College Station?
No, sell. If Blue's going to get anywhere close to that, it's going to have to be the scheduling volume that helps Texas get there. He's just, quite frankly, the guppies are gone. So it should have been against the likes of UTSA and Colorado State and not so much Michigan, but he even, gets banged up and hurt in that game and he misses a game. Those are the games where he should have been piling up numbers in a way that makes the heavy lifting over the course of the last 7 weeks of the season not so heavy. He's not getting there in 12 games.
All right, let's go to baseball. Buy or sell number three. 3 of the 4 series will end today.
I'm going to say sell because the home teams were horrible yesterday. The only home team that won was the Padres against your Braves, which you could see that coming a mile away. That was, from a scheduling standpoint, completely unfair for the Braves.
So impressed by what the Mets pulled off, though, because I thought the Mets and Braves were both going to lose.
No, and it would have been justifiably so had it happened. I think the home teams that lost strike back, at least at a volume that doesn't leave us, because ultimately what you're saying is at least 2 of those series would have to come with teams going 2-0 and barbecue. 2 and Q in the Major League Baseball playoffs at home is no way to go through life. So I'm going to say we get some game 3s tomorrow.
Yeah, Catch, even as a Rangers fan, obviously I would love to see the same thing again happen in Houston. I don't think the Astros go out like that.
The Astros aren't even on my side of the bracket. I'm an NL guy.
Fair enough.
I could do with the Astros just getting the hell on out of the playoffs. No offense. And look, if my Phillies lose, then I don't care. And so it's like, oh, go ahead, Astros. I don't care. But I've seen the Astros up close in a World Series. I'm good if they're not there. As long as the Phillies are playing and I've got a vested interest in the American League, I kind of do without the Astros. They're just a pain in the ass.
All right, Catch. All children of the 80s have wondered their entire lives, and you are about to give them the answer. Here we go. Buy or sell number 4. Sting is 73 years old today. Prime on prime. Sting lasts longer in bed on average than Prince.
Buy.
Wow,
And I feel like Sting has been advertising that tantric stuff for so long that I don't know if he's climaxed in ever.
So you're going with Sting.
I think Sting might be backed up.
That's a whole nother show right there. And finally, Catch, I'll admit, I don't know if this is the best hotter than, but it will be one of the more fun hotter thans to deliver. Here we go. Buy or sell number 5. Kelly Willis is 56 today. Prime on prime country battle. Kelly Willis, hotter than Pam Tillis.
Wow. Hey, let me just say, volleyball clap for you. Was not expecting this one.
Yeah.
I've met Kelly Willis in person. She's a very hot is not the word that I would use to describe her.
Okay.
Very pretty. Very pretty. But, you don't walk away going, damn. I'm going to say this. Kelly Willis is one of the sexiest women I've ever seen. It's not like that. But then I don't really – here's what's going to happen.
Uh-oh. It's a Pam
I
Tillis
need to do a Google search on Pam Tillis just to refresh.
My wife is a sucker for that song, No Use Crying Over Spilt Perfume. That's my wife's Pam Tillis jam. I hear it all the time.
I'm going to sell – I'm going to buy. I'm going to say – that Kelly Willis's prettiness carries her over in this hotter than battle.
I like it. Willis versus Tillis. All right, Catch. That's my buy or sell for today. What do you got?
Willis versus Tillis. Buy or sell number 1. Kieran didn't say one thing today that you think won't come true.
What? Wait a minute. Kieran didn't say one thing today that I think won't come true?
Yes.
Oh, well, I got to sell that. I got to play the math and sell.
You just got to take the whole glob of thoughts.
He said a lot of wackiness. The one that would stick in my head, obviously, is a guaranteed 21 point or more win in College Station. I'm not saying the Longhorns aren't winning that game, but I don't think I would predict it like that right now, so I'll go ahead and sell.
Buy or sell number 2, Quinn Ewers throws for at least 3 touchdown passes against the Sooners.
That feels like a buy, and it can still end up as a shootout because that game can do that sometimes. But yes, I'm going to be in the camp that says he knows this offense well enough. He's been working, hard enough and keeping I think he's going to be dialed in, and I think 3 or more is possible. I'm with Kieran on the fact that Oklahoma's ability to cover is going to be tough. I think Texas can run slant routes for touchdowns all day long in Dallas. I think though that particularly the middle of the field is really going to hurt OU.
Buy or sell number 3, Arch Manning takes at least 1 snap against the Sooners.
No, sell. I think it's going to be I think it's Quinn Ewers' show, and whatever the show is, he'll finish it.
Buy or sell number 4, legendary actor John Amos passed away yesterday. And in a week where it feels like a lot of famous people have been dying, that one was a kick to the gut and the soul a little bit more, or at least on the level of anybody else that you've seen so far.
Yeah, bye. I wanted to smash a punch bowl and scream, damn, damn, damn. Catch, I was the right age to where after that episode of Good Times aired, I thought John Amos died then. I legitimately thought he was dead. There was no internet back then. There was no computers. I wasn't following the show behind the scenes. I thought he was dead until whichever came first, Coming to America or Die Hard 2. That's what let me know John Amos had not died. I thought he was dead. I'm like, why else would you take James Evans off the show? The actor had to have died. And now he is gone. He's one of my absolute favorites. Die Hard 2 is one of my unsung diehards. I love him in that. He's awesome in Coming to America as Cleo McDowell. He was the only thing about the Coming to America sequel worth talking about because he's so brilliant. Rest in peace. He's one of the greatest actors of all time.
And finally, buy or sell number 5. It's a game of hotter than.
Come on.
And this one, I think's potentially a little tricky.
Okay.
So we haven't talked about this on the show, but I've been doing this thing where every week I pick a musical artist and I play that music all week long to teach my kids the music of this artist.
Okay.
Last week was Ray Charles week.
Oh, dear Lord.
And it felt like my son Hendrix, who's named after Jimi Hendrix, no matter what song I asked, he just wouldn't remember Ray Charles's name. Today, we didn't do it yesterday. So today I'm in the car and I'm like, all right, kids, for $5, can you name the musician or the singer whose music that we're listening to this week? And Hendrix jumps out and goes, Whitney Houston. And I couldn't believe it. I didn't think there was a chance in the world that he would remember that. Buy or sell. Prime on prime. Any moment in history that you want to pick for either of these young women. Whitney Houston, hotter than Mariah Carey.
For me, that's a buy.
Yeah?
Yeah. For me, that's a buy. Pick any point you want. It's a buy.
I'm buy. I'm Whitney Houston. I want to dance with somebody. I was in love as a young kid. I love Whitney Houston.
Yeah, best point for each, worst point for each. Yeah, it's even a battle. If you want to pick like drugged out, short-haired, sweaty Whitney against about any Mariah you can think of, I still might go Whitney. But prime on prime.
I will sell at the moment when Whitney says she picked a piece of poop out of Bobby Brown's backside.
Yeah, that's probably fair. But I'm with you. The I want to dance with somebody Whitney is incredible. Her smile is legendary. I'm glad. I've now understand exactly the path you just took. Because for a second, I thought you were telling me that your son heard Ray Charles and thought it was Whitney Houston.
No, we started Whitney Houston week.
Oh, see, I didn't realize that part. Okay, I got you now. Good.
And just so you know, I played today for the first time, I Will Always Love You.
Yes.
And my daughter said, Dad, put that on my playlist. And I felt like a proud parent.
That is good. Real quick, do you think it's better than the cover? I mean, better than the cover. Better than the original?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a close battle, but I think you might be right.
It's a different song.
Yeah, you might be right.
It's Whitney at her vocal best. And
most important question, though. Does your son now know the name Ray Charles and can remember it?
I'll find out later today.
Okay. We got to get
I'll play Georgia on my mind.
Yes.
And we'll see. And then last week, my daughter said, Dad, I've had a song stuck in my head all day today. I was like, well, that happens all the time. Like, what song do you have stuck in your head? Georgia on my mind.
There you go.
And I was like, you're not complaining, are you? I wish I was walking around all day with Georgia on my mind stuck in my head.
That is good. I like that you're teaching the kids a little Ray Charles. That's fantastic. Ray, Whitney, that's good. What a dad. What a dad you are. Well done.
Will be Otis. I started with Ray Charles because very organically we heard a Ray Charles song. Next week will be Otis.
There you go. Ray Charles. That's good stuff. All right. There's buy or sell for you. Ketch has a Liverpool game. Is the game already started or is it about to?
No.
It's top of the hour.
I've got 36 minutes to go get some lunch, come back and get my game face on.
Beautiful. We can definitely handle that. Speaking of lunch, if you're looking for brunch, if you're looking for dinner, this is a place Ketch definitely is going to check out at some point. I have checked it out, and you should too. It's Taste on Main, right there in downtown Buda. You hear us talk about Hay City Store. Same folks, Travis, Tamara, they got Hay City Store rolling. It's still rolling. It's incredible. We tell you about that. But Taste on Main is their take on just a great casual steakhouse. I love it because there's no stuffy dress code. I love it because it's in downtown Buda and it just always feels perfect. You can just go in there and have a great casual time. The brunch is excellent. Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 3. Longhorn fans, perfect idea for you this week. You got an off week. You got all day Saturday. Head on down to Buda. You can walk around the antique shops afterwards. Call, set up, or go if you got the app, whatever it is. Set up your table, get your reservation because it is a popular place, and you will find out why at Taste on Main. Also, remember that bar's open from 10 to midnight every Friday and Saturday. There's some snack options there, just like with Hayes City Store. The food is incredible, the drinks are awesome, and as always, if you're a whiskey person, I do recommend the Sam Elliott's Mustache. Oh, it is fantastic. All right, so check out Taste on Main if you get a chance. Let me just scan here and see if we have any super chat. Hang on. Hold on. Wait a second. I think a 50 spot's coming in. Paul, $49.99 in memoriam. They've got the golden arches. Mine is the golden arcs. They got the Big Macs. I got the Big Mick. We both got 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, and onions. But their buns have sesame seeds. My buns have no seeds. Oh, man. So good. Every scene in Coming to America with Cleo McDowell is good. I can't think of one catch that's not memorable. Like, he's so good. When he chases the photographer away from the store. Oh, my God. Fantastic.
So John Amos died in August.
What?
It came out yesterday.
Are you serious?
I'm looking at, because someone said it in the chat, and I was like, no, he didn't die on August 21st. He died yesterday. And
See, that is so weird. My wife yelled at me yesterday, knowing how much we both love him, and told me about it. That's crazy.
It was
so you're saying
yesterday by the late actor's son, who tweeted about it, I believe. And it turns out that his daughter, Shannon, found out about the death the same time we did.
Wait a minute. His daughter didn't know he was dead?
Yes.
Good grief.
There's a headline in the New York Post, which, to be fair, it is a New York Post. It says, John Amos's daughter just learned of his actor's August death. How did this happen 45 days ago?
That's bizarre.
How did John Amos die in August and we only found about it on the 1st of October?
That is crazy. And that would explain. One of the chatters said Ketch was distracted and missed the $50. Yes, because he was reading that update. He probably did miss me reading the part of the script from Coming to America.
I was at the same time.
Yeah, it's the same exact time. But that's all right, Paul. $49.99. My buns have no seeds. Oh.
All right, we got to go. I got to go get some lunch and get ready for Liverpool.
All right, remember to like, subscribe, and get your notifications for Orange Bloods Live. By the way, if you can't get out to Taste on Main, but you need some whiskey, remember, Specs, this is the last week of the whiskey sale.
Specs for our whiskey sale and enjoy the lowest prices on Texas' largest selection of whiskey. But hurry, these deals won't last long. Specs, cheers to savings.
Football with Friends, 6 o'clock tonight. Outsiders at 8:30. Old-fashioned tomorrow morning at 9, and then 10 o'clock. It's the Prize Picks Show. Do what I do every week on a Thursday at 10. Listen to the Prize Picks guys. They'll give you some ideas. This guy helped me make a little money last week with a couple of picks in the NFL. So check out the Prize Picks guys. They put their heads together and come up with some pretty good ideas every once in a while. So check that out. All right, everybody have a good Wednesday. Tomorrow will be a Thursday show. Brian Jones will hopefully join us, and we'll talk about that big CBS game and the rest of college football. Y'all take care of yourselves. We are